What's up, everybody? You are tuned into the Elks Call with the Elks Herd. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do You Even Elks?
And today, our special guest on the show is defensive lineman number 96 for the Edmonton Elks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Jamin Pelley. Jamin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. It feels like a Wednesday. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that cold snuck up on us a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're used to colder weather still, and maybe even a little bit more snow, but the wind today was very brisk.
Yeah, it was chilly out there. I was walking to the stadium to go lift this morning, and yeah, I mistakenly wore shorts on my drive out there. Yeah, I felt it right when I got out. Yeah.
It's like, how do you know that you're Canadian? You are, in the first week of November, and you're like, yeah, you know what? That's shorts weather.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, absolutely.
Oh no. So, today we have an extremely stacked show, so we're gonna dive into it. First thing we're gonna do is a recap on the CFL semifinal playoff action from this past weekend. Following that, we're gonna open up our fan forum where we talk about hot topics surrounding the Edmonton Elks, the CFL, and the sports world as a whole. After the fan forum, we're gonna give everybody an Edmonton Sports update and then interview our guest Jamin in The More You Didn't Know for the copyright infringement. Um, be sure to blow up the herd chat with your questions and comments as we will read them during tonight's show. So, first off, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that's tuning in on Edmonton Sports Talk. And like we said, please blow up the herd chat tonight. Get your comments in there. And Catherine, we have a bit of a CFL recap. Real quick, Jamin, did you watch any of the games this last weekend?
No, man, no. Once we're out, it's back to work for me. So I've just been in the gym, and I won't watch another team play. So
I love it. I love it. It's beautiful.
You know what? I think that works. That works. I will take that for sure. So we'll just make this fairly quick. Just make it less painful for anybody that just wants a quick little recap. I mean, this past Saturday we had the CFL Division Semifinals. So we had the East Division with Hamilton. Wow. Hamilton. I didn't know. I didn't think I was going to screw up this early in the episode. So Hamilton Tiger Cats facing the Montreal Alouettes with a final score of 27-12 for the Alouettes. This was their sixth consecutive win and their fourth over the Ticats in the 2023 season.
Okay.
They had some pretty fantastic plays with arguably the best player on the field, linebacker Darnell Sankey, who they just signed actually earlier this year, mid-season. And he finished with 8 defensive tackles, 2 quarterback sacks, and of course an interception.
Right.
Fajardo. I'm saying it right. That's how it should be. None of this Fajardo thing. He also had several key throws and a few runs that really impacted the game, and efficient special teams, and it was in all of good collective effort for the team to move on to the East final. I know you didn't watch the game, but were you surprised with that ending? Did you think that the Alouettes were going to win that one?
You know what? Yeah. I have a few guys that I was rooting for secretively on the Owls, but yeah, I definitely thought the Owls were gonna win. They've beat the Tigats every time they played, so kind of fell into the fold for me.
Yeah, same deal. I mean, the Alouettes are relatively good, especially in comparison to the Hamilton Tiger Cats. That whole quarterback scenario they have going on there, Bo Levi, was he in, was he out? And then the way, of course, it all kind of fell out afterwards, a little bit predictable. Going forward, we'll see what the Alouettes do in Toronto.
Yeah. The West Division semifinals had the BC Lions going against the Calgary Stampeders, with the Lions moving on after a 41-30 game. So, of course, Vernon Adams Jr., he led the charge with this game, definitely staying on top with his throws and his read, and even using his legs to buy time to find receivers or run for first downs. He completed 28 of 39 passes for 413 yards, which is a new single game franchise record, playoff record, which was previously held by Roy DeWalt. He had 2 touchdowns and a high
Oh
team
wow.
4 rushing yards on 7 total carries. So, I mean, after that, are we really surprised that that's how it ended up? Were you surprised by this result? Maybe? Did you want
Yeah, that one I was. I'm gonna say. I mean, I don't have a favorite other than the Elks, but I mean, if I had to choose between those two, yeah, I definitely was more pulling for Calgary because, in a sense, that's the team we beat. So, it would give me some validation off of that. But yeah, I definitely didn't think it was going to go that way, especially after I think Calgary was up about 2 scores or something like that early on. I think, and that's when my phone. I seen that on Twitter or X, as you should call it now. I seen that on the app, and I was like, dang, like I was surprised by that. I was obviously rooting for Calgary being from there.
Mhm.
Not anymore, but yeah, I was definitely thinking they're gonna pull it out. Especially they got hot near the end of the year, so definitely thought they're gonna pull that one out for sure.
Well, exactly. And Calgary also had that massive game in BC, second, I believe it was like the second last game or whatever, right? They had a big one. So, um,
And I think we all know that, regular season doesn't mean anything in playoff season. Right? So
yeah.
anything can go down. And, just the fact that Calgary was super hot by the end, that, I mean, they came close. I mean, it wasn't a shutout. It was pretty close considering. So, I mean,
Yep.
at least it was a good fight. But of course, now we have the division finals coming up, happening this Saturday, November 11th. We have the Eastern final that has Montreal Alouettes playing against Toronto Argonauts at BMO Field. It starts at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Um, Toronto finished tying a CFL record with 16 wins on the season and 2 losses only. So they were a force on all sides, really, of the ball. And while Montreal, they were also playing a high level, especially on defense. So they have definitely proven to be quite a good opponent. So
Yeah.
who do you think will win this one, Jamin? What is your predictions on this one coming up?
Yeah, I got Toronto. I think I'm gonna make a very early prediction, but yeah, I think Toronto is gonna win it all. Yeah, they're my pick for the whole thing. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Toronto.
How about you?
Yeah. I mean, I said that Chad Kelly was going to be a force
Mhm.
right after the Grey Cup last year. So I I had a really good feeling that Chad Kelly was going to put in the work to see the results, and especially with what they've done with that team as well. When somebody like Chad Kelly can just step in and take control, and everybody follows the leader. Well, they're playing amazing football with what they have right now, and even for the last couple of years, Toronto's been an amazing team. They've been a competitor, and sometimes they've even been a 500 team, and then somehow like won a Grey Cup, right, or close to 500, and they've pulled it out, right. Once again, any given Sunday or any given Saturday. So, yeah, Toronto for sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for that one too. They definitely have the chemistry, that
Yeah.
it takes to win. So it's not just a quarterback, it's not just defense or O line or offense. It's the entire team
All
is playing
phases. Yeah.
really, really well. So I think that's what it takes to win tournaments, and I think that's what they have. So I'm going for Toronto on that one as well.
Well, and even real quick, even without Henoch Mwamba, I mean, he was a big force last year. Aging,
Yep.
sure, right? Getting there, little, getting a little bit aged for a football player. But that being said, he still had probably could play a little bit longer if he wanted to. He's more than likely gonna move on and retire or go into the booth, onto the panel or something like that. I think, but from what we've seen. But yeah, even without some major players, even Andrew Harris, AJ Ouellette's taken over for the job
Mhm.
that Andrew Harris was supposed to do. So the
And
system that they have,
he's doing it well
he's
too.
doing amazing. I mean, the system that they have out there in Toronto and their development and what they're doing with their players, it's definitely something to applaud. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
And We have the Western Finals with BC Lions going against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They play at IG Field at 4:30 p.m. And this is a rematch. Will actually be the second year in a row that these two teams meet up for the
Yep.
West Division Final. And of course, the matchup between Zach Laros and Vernon Adams Jr. will definitely be something to watch. And in my eyes, I mean, these two are very evenly matched teams, and it may be very well come down to who makes the least amount of mistakes. So, and I mean, Winnipeg also has that Claros Brady Oliveira connection, which is really hard to ignore. So that being said, what are your takes on this one? Who's gonna win it?
Man, yeah, definitely going with Winnipeg. I like BC a lot. Like if I wasn't playing against them, I like them a lot on paper. But yeah, I got to give it to the OGs in Winnipeg. It's a group of guys that have been around with each other for a long, long time, and I don't think that there's much that can beat that. On top of having some good coaches and good play callers, and then yeah, I mean all that speaks for itself on the field, and they have results, and I got to go with them. Can't bet against the upper hand.
Yeah, it's that, like you said, right? And they have the pedigree. You got Willie Jefferson, you got Jeffco, you got Claros. They've built that championship pedigree that is, it will not be denied. Those guys will not be denied. You got Brady Oliveira running the ball down your throat. It's now, do I think that this is potentially the year that BC could do it? Because BC, I mean, we may end up seeing a BC depending on what happens next year.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'd rather see the Elks go to the Grey Cup. But if BC continues with the way that they're going, they may be in this position again to once again host maybe they're hosting a West Final or something, right?
Mhm.
BC is still going to be a decent name. Matthew Betts back there, kind of wish that he would have stuck around in Edmonton, or we would have been able to pay him. Same time, happy with the team that we have. Obviously, room for improvement, but Matthew Betts, man, that guy is absolutely killing it over in BC right now.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Canadian boy, Jamin Giver.
Yeah, no, I've watched that guy a lot. Playing Canadian University sports or Canadian University football. Seeing him win, I think he won. What was it, like maybe 3 or 4 down lineman of the years? He was destined to do great things, and yeah, just seeing him break that record now is just like we all expected it. We all knew who he was. So I wasn't surprised by him breaking the record, but man, he is killing it. Like you said, yeah, he's playing like he did back in university. It's almost like university for him.
Oh no, and I mean we'll get into that a little bit, because when we went to this Golden Bears game this last weekend here, when we went to that game, Catherine was like, "Wow, like what's happening here? Like why is there so much speed, and why are guys flying around, and why is there so many crazy balls, and what is up with this? Like why have I been missing this? How have I been missing this?" And yeah, I mean, there is that maturation process and going into pro, and it's more strategical, and there's certain things about it, right? But overall, yeah, there is a performance difference that you can tell, right, between college and professional. So yeah, we'll dig into that later.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. I do think that Winnipeg's going to take this one. I'm not going to lie and say that I hope that BC becomes the underdog and just comes out of nowhere and it just takes it, because you never know. Again, playoffs are completely different, and if you're hot, you're hot. You never know what's going to happen in any given game. So, whereas I'm being realistic saying Winnipeg's going to take it, I'm still hoping that perhaps BC is going to sneak in there and
Yeah.
take them out. So
Yeah.
they'll be fun. So make sure that, well, if you don't tune in, it's going to happen on Saturday, but we'll definitely tune in to the results to see who gets it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So
see, easy peasy, just to the point. Let's move on.
yeah, we're done with that CFL talk. So let's go ahead and open up the fan forum. We're going to open it up early. So this is a segment called the fan forum where we're going to talk about some hot topics surrounding the Elks, the CFL, and the sports world as a whole. Our live listeners will get to chime in on each topic we discuss, so make sure you comment in the herd chat as we ask each question, and we'll look at the chat right after we've answered. So let's head into it. Jamin, you follow the NHL, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, somewhat to an extent.
To an extent. Okay, so you know that the local NHL team here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fully aware of that. Yeah,
All right.
Well, that's that. Let's
So,
just move on.
so we can talk about this then. We can talk about this. Look.
No, interestingly enough, just a couple hours ago, I watched a video, and they said that the kid that they have on reserve for goaltending for the Oilers, he's down in the AHL right now, and he has the highest save percentage out of all of the AHL. And I don't know why the Oilers are keeping their lowest percentage goaltender of the whole NHL in net. I've just read a few things about it, and it got me a little fired up because I've always, as you know, you would know, I like playing hockey. So I've always been in tune with hockey, and just seeing that video, it kind of made me scratch my head for sure. Like, there's a lot of things that they need to do.
Oh yes, and I mean they did do a goaltending switch up. They did indeed put Jack Campbell. This is why I'm wearing the "No Soup for You" shirt today.
Gosh, he's just putting salt in the wound here.
Salt in the soup. So question number one. The Edmonton Oilers have started the season with only 2 wins in 11 games. After so much hype from the media and fans in preseason, the Oilers are having a hard time finding a win with what should be a good team. Is this due to the excess pressure on the team, or is this truly just a bad hockey team? Do Oilers fans need to panic at this point? Jamin, what do you think?
You know what? To me, being not a hockey player but being a professional athlete, I don't think that overhyping a team or having too much headlines before the season is a bad thing. Like, I don't see how that could be negative. Like, maybe players getting into their own heads, but at the same time, there's a few hockey players on the ice at one time, so it's not just like one person getting into their head. So I wouldn't say that it's from all the excess pressure or whatever. I would definitely say that it's just something that they got to get right. I don't know. I can't really speak on it too much, but if it was in my opinion, I don't think fans have to worry just yet. There's quite a few games in hockey, so. I wouldn't say they have to worry just yet, but it's looking bleak, starting to at least.
Yeah, no, that's fair, Catherine.
I know. I don't think Oilers fans need to panic yet, but it's definitely getting to that point, and I think it's just because of the expectations that everybody had preseason or off season.
Yeah.
Right? They went into this season thinking that they were going to be contenders, playoff contenders, that they were going to win the cup. All these, Oilers fans were super excited just to see something completely different than what they were expecting. So obviously that's going to create a lot of tension. That's going to create a lot of panic in itself. But
Totally.
like you, Jamin, said, there's still a lot of hockey left. But at the same time, it's not the start of the season anymore. It's not preseason. It's not the few games right at the beginning of the season. I think it's about time that they start figuring things out. And I know there's been a lot of talk online on X, Twitter, whatever you may call it, calling it, is it a a goalie coach issue? Is it a player issue? Like, what is it? Who needs to get fired? And
Yeah.
we've heard this, right? Every single time. As soon as the teams are not performing as well as they should, they always want to fire somebody.
Yeah.
And-
Edmonton sports fans,
Oh,
you
man.
know what?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
So a couple of us in the room here may know a thing or two about how Edmonton sports fans when things, don't go their way, they resort to fire the coach. Fire the coach is one of the most popular sayings. I mean,
Hashtag.
yes, hashtag
Alright.
fire whoever, right? It's whatever team is not doing great at that point in Edmonton, there's a hashtag fire blank. So I do think that Edmonton sports fans, I think they're very passionate, but I think it's really, really interesting what Jamin said. It doesn't matter what kind of hype you put in behind that team going into the season. If anything, that should maybe lift you up a little bit, give you a little bit more spring in your step or that confidence. And oddly enough, coaching with the Edmonton Oilers, what they've done is some of the information here. They've gone ahead and changed a bunch of their defensive structures and how they play, and even with their 11-7 that they were working last year, they aren't finding that success this year because they've changed so many systems. So once
Why?
again,
Why?
but once
Why would
again,
you change something that is working?
so that tells you that they are a coaching change away, much like another Edmonton team,
Yeah.
right? You make a coaching change and things all of a sudden start working. Now, the Edmonton Elks, when the Elks did it, unfortunately, halfway through the season, but it worked out best because of the bye week. We get it. With the Edmonton Oilers, like Jamin said, we're 12 games in, and you got another 70 to go.
Yeah, it's a long, long season.
Exactly.
You got more than enough games to make a change right now.
Well, that's just it. As long as they make the changes that they need to make right now. Because if they wait a little bit longer, then there's just a possibility that we may not even make it to the playoffs. So at that point, I mean, there are some changes. I truly can't say whether it is a coaching issue or a player issue. I think it's a team issue because our defense hasn't even been that great.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how do you expect a goalie to be fantastic when your defense is not there for you and stopping some of those shots, right? So
Yeah.
it's just overall, I think it's just depressing. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one for Edmonton fans this year.
Yeah, well, hey,
Not for all though.
not
Yeah, oh yeah,
For all.
history, not history, but there's some long lasting holds being put off here.
That's true. That's true. Oh my goodness.
Oh, so good. But what about that other green and gold team, the University of Alberta Golden Bears? So,
Are you covering your ears?
Oh,
UC,
UC. Pains me, but yeah, they're on fire, man. Yeah, U of A.
Oh, killing it. So that leads us into question number 2, involving the Golden Bears. They just recently advanced to the 86 Hardy Cup against UBC advanced to it against UBC. They're going to Vancouver to play the T-Birds. So they ended up winning 40-17 against the Saskatchewan Huskies. And it was chilly, but an extremely exciting game. It was amazing. Jamin, you were on the EE duties, so unfortunately you missed that one.
Yeah.
But that being said, something that we've noticed is that there's a massive difference between Canadian college football and American college football. So, with the game being exciting, the elements coming into play, and getting to experience that product, we need to know, like, why is there such a big difference, and why do we not celebrate the college game as much as we should?
Yeah, speaking from firsthand, I can tell you that it starts with the kids. Like the amount of like Pop Warner, as they call it in the States, which is like young kids, that is a way bigger number and a way bigger pool than Canadian amateur youth sports. I grew up in Calgary my whole life, played football there my whole life. I got into it about when I was 5. But had I not had an older cousin that played football before me, I probably never would have got into football. And that's just due because there's no real coverage of it, or like it's not really known. Like you said, I wasn't at the U of A game this past weekend because I had some duties to do. I was at a kids camp over in the Garrison, the Edmonton Garrison, some Army Reserve. And I had two parents come up and ask how they put their sons into football, and like they haven't known. And I think that's a real problem because I started when I was 5, and it was the best thing for me ever. And the youth right now, they're not getting into that, especially, and this kills me, especially with all the technology coming out. Like, kids don't even go outside anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the biggest points between the two, is that youth sports is not nearly as much used in Canada. But on the other hand, it also goes to high school as well. Like football teams, unless you're at like the top school for football, and that you're going to a high school that's dedicated to football, somewhere like in Edmonton, Harry Ainley. If you're going to a school that like has a very good football program, then it's more optional for you, and you'll be more open to it most likely. But for me, like I grew up in a basketball, or I went to school in a basketball school. So like all the athletes, all they wanted to do was play basketball, and that was the biggest thing. And it was hard for us to like field a football team in high school because the interest just wasn't there. And that goes without saying. It starts from when they're kids. So I think that's the biggest thing. And then also, the funding at the university level. Schools aren't really willing to put that much into their football teams.
Mm-hmm.
I find, there's still things like player fees and stuff like that on a university football team. So kind of makes it tough, and it kind of makes you have a choice. Like, do I really want to do this? Because you're putting in money more. Like, unlike the NCAA, where those kids they're going to a school and they're getting everything from under the sun taken care of. So it's a big difference.
So you're saying that we don't see the athletic scholarships to like go play football if you're like a star quarterback, or you're a highly scouted quarterback in the Canadian system going into U Sports. You can commit and you can pay the player fee. At most, maybe they'll waive that, but they won't offer a scholarship.
Yeah. So, well, like the thing with scholarships is, in the scholarships in the NCAA, they are full scholarships, like full ride scholarships, where you have your bed and board taken care of. You have like a food plan, all your school fees, all your textbooks, everything that you need for school, that's taken care of. Of course, you're not paying any football fees. And then they also, like, the football team just has support in place for their players at the NCAA, whereas in the U Sports level, yeah, like the most, and I don't know if they are changing it this year. I heard some buzz that they might be changing the way scholarships work, but when I went to school, and I know for like the past few years, you're only, the most a team could give you is about $4,500 or a semester of tuition. So they can only cover your tuition. They can't give you no food plan, no waiving of expenses. Like you said, they most likely will waive player fees if they kind of pick and choose with that one. Not gonna put myself out there, but I didn't pay player fees, so like they do definitely have leniency towards that. But yeah, other than that, all they can give you on their books is tuition. So it's a lot different.
Well, and that's everything, because when you take a look at the talent that we try to retain up here in Canada, it starts obviously with our college systems, right? We want to try to develop guys to CFL. Obviously, we're not going to hold anybody back, and you can still have guys come up, through U Sports, and then maybe they get a year or two down in the States or something like that. They can still kind of do that transfer system. However, once you're in the Canadian system, you're more than likely trying to stay there, right, Jamin?
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly, in my U Sports history, yeah, there's only been one guy that I've known that I've actually played U Sports with, and then he went on to play another 2 years in the NCAA, and now he's playing in the NFL. So talent wise, if that was a conversation, I don't think there's much. And a lot of ex NFL and CFL players will say the same thing, that the talent pool is 90% the same. It's just the top 10 of the NFL are in the NFL.
Yeah.
See, and that's so disappointing because we saw talent, right, at this game that we just went to watch. That was probably the most exciting
Yeah.
football game that I have seen, right? And that's the first university college Canadian football game that I have seen, right? And it was a completely different experience when you're watching a lot of these kids, and those were my comments. Like, what am I watching? Why is everybody just tackling like that? I have not seen tackles like that or throws like that before, because they're obviously just putting it all on the line. They may not necessarily have the same worries that somebody playing pro sports has with injuries and so on and so forth. But there is talent, right? And there was excitement. And it was really unfortunate to see that it was probably only relatives, so their parents and friends, that would show up to these games.
Yeah,
Nobody from outside, nobody just being like, hey, I want to go catch a football game. I want to go have this kind of entertainment out of nowhere, that will show up to these games. And I went to the University of Alberta. I was there for 5 years, and I never went to a game. And that could have been part because I was not in the scene. I was not into sports at that point. I didn't really go to any sporting events, but it was also not advertised. I did not see it. If I wasn't part of special, like, little groups that were friends with a lot of these athletes, I wouldn't have known when those games were. There was no hype, there was no nothing, which I see a lot in schools in the US, that there's always that hype, right?
absolutely.
I
Yeah, no, for that point for sure. In 2019, when we won the Vanier, so the whole championship, we won it. We had a parade through the school, like, or to showcase that we won or whatever. And we walked through the school, and everyone was looking at us like they had no idea who we were, like what we did. And then we had like a little pep rally in the gym, and I remember there's probably only under 20 people in the stands. It was like the most. Honestly, like, I know we just won the championship, but it was probably one of the more embarrassing parts of my career. Like, it was, like, it didn't even feel like we won. It almost felt like we went there and we lost, and they were just trying to say like, "Congrats for going." But yeah, it was super super weird. Like, there's no real publicity that U Sports does, and like, and I don't even think that the schools really try and grow it anyway, but it's really a shame because, yeah, there's a lot of talent, like you said, and yeah, those kids are flying around because they have nothing to lose and everything's on the line for them. So yeah, it's good football, and it's a shame that it doesn't get the spotlight it deserves for sure.
Yeah, so that will be our next to do. Try to figure out how we can bring some, you know.
Well,
I don't know. I really don't know how you grow something like that.
well, I will say persevere. Shout out to persevere on Instagram and Twitter and all of that. That's an account. Those guys over there, they're constantly uploading content and making sweet highlight videos and trying to display a great product. They're trying to get people to notice U Sports, and I think U Sports does need to be noticed. And U of A Golden Bears, it's interesting because I'm a Nate guy. I'm Nate. I'm a dirty Nate guy. I went to Nate,
Is
right?
it ooks?
Go ooks. Hey, stop it. Yeah, no. So whereas, like, I even care about the Nate Ooks and their hockey team and their hockey program. They've had a historical hockey program with former AHLers and like former Toronto Marlies, and like they for whatever reason Nate attracts a really really good team year in year out. They're not in the same. They're not in a U Sports conference or anything like that. I forget what it is, ACAC or something. I believe I want to say ACAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're over there in that, and I still follow that. U of A, there's history books. That game, that Hardy Cup game, that's history books. Like, there is logs, and there is over 100-year-old history on these teams.
I think you were mentioning that, like, watching the last game and just some of the just plays and the players that we were seeing. You even made that comment, like, this could be history. This could be a historical game for Edmonton and U Sports,
Totally.
just because of the quality of players that we were seeing in the game itself.
Totally, right? Well, and I mean, you may be able to reflect on, seeing these players once you see them later on. You may see some of these guys in the CFL. Yeah, and I mean, they were playing an amazing game for sure, but this is all history book stuff for collegiate sports. And collegiate sports, if they care this much about it in the States, where I'm sorry, like, our school system up here is top notch. I'm not I don't know exactly how things go down there, but I do know that they sometimes care about sports even a little bit more than the books, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so and for them it matters. The Div 1, they got a Div 2, they got a Div 3 in college sports. Us, we just got youth sports. That's all you get
you get one sport team.
one division, just the best of the best in Canada. And even the hockey program, I think, is probably what gets the most notice. Whereas in the States, it's a little bit reversed. Hockey is kind of like a whatever, Frozen Four, you barely hear about the Frozen Four. You hear about it when it happens, right? But in the States, that the Rose Bowl's coming up. All these Idaho Potato Bowl, like what?
Weirdest things.
Like there's just so many, and they like I've found more and more as I meet new players coming into the locker room. They'll have like their little tags of whatever bowl game they had on their backpack, and I'm like, I've never heard of this game before. Whereas I know what the Hardy Cup is, I know what the Mitchell Bowl is, I know what the Vanier Cup is, like, and that's all we have. Where these guys, we had an 8-8 season, but we're going to the Tostitos Bowl, like, you know what I mean? It's way different there.
See, and that's the thing. We only have the one. Why can't we just focus on the one and just bring attention? And I really see no reason why there shouldn't. Because honestly, I mean, of course, it's not the Edmonton Elks, it's not the Edmonton Oilers, but it's still local talent. It's still, and it's just a matter of trying to figure out exactly what is it that it's going to take to bring more kids to come see those games, to bring more families outside of the athletes and players' families to go and enjoy a Saturday, Sunday afternoon of football or whatever.
And Jamin mentioned it, right? It's the grassroots, it's the football camps, and I think what's also really interesting as well is some of the most exposure that our boys have had to football is actually through Edmonton Elks events, like the little the family day that out there. James Wilder, when he did his camp, any future camp, the massive kids camp that they did down there. Then future camps as well. We'll definitely be bringing the boys down, but the Edmonton Elks, one of the best things that they've done over the last couple years was getting kids involved with it again.
It went from my kid, the youngest one, Aiden, who's 5, not knowing what football is, to saying that he's going to be a running back when he grows up, right? So that's kind of the impact that those events have. So I mean,
well, that's the thing too, for sure. Like, I'll tell you, like, the interest that these kids have is way more higher than the want to from the parents, and that's the problem too, because the parents are a little shy of it, or they might not be or they might not have all the information they need, but like for me, when I see these kids come on the field after the game, I always go back out. I'm like, no matter what, I'll win and lose, if I'm mad, I'll go back out and I'll go say hi to some kids, because the amount of interest that they have just meeting us, or just seeing us up close and personal, and then they talk about how they want to play football. It's in there. Like, it's not like kids are totally turned off by football. They have a desire to play. It's just, I don't think that the outreach of football is reaching the younger generations, and it's sad to say.
Yeah, I agree. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna write a letter to the U of A. They need to put on more kid camps. Just invite them, and let's start there.
They have the resources too. Like, they have that dome that they put over the field. Like, there's so much that they can do for sure. And I think I was thinking about when you said that you hadn't been to a game at Footfield while you were there. It was probably because they were going through a very, very rough patch of football while you're there. But like there is definitely opportunity to grow their program, and now that they're doing well, it might turn that around too, though.
Well, and UBC. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does UBC generally get a good crowd out there for their games, Jamin?
For their homecoming, and if they are in the playoffs, just because they have been to the Vanier like 3 times or twice in like the last 6 or 7 years, they do get a decent crowd. Again, when we played in BC, it was like it was I think it was closer to summer, so it was a lot warmer and a lot less rain. So I do think that they do get a decent amount of fans, but I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, because the weather and those guys don't like it's the people on the coast, I don't know, they seem a little, scared of the rain and stuff like that. So that's all I gotta say. I do think they get a decent crowd. I know for everyone's homecoming game, they usually every team usually gets a good amount of fans in there. I know for Calgary, they actually did do a lot of posting and posters for it. So I think we got something like 9,000 fans at our homecoming. It was pretty big. We sold out the east side of McMahon.
Nice.
So it's not bad. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, and I was wondering about that too. Like, wonder when was the last time even the Dinos or even the Golden Bears, any of those teams have sold out? Like,
Yeah, probably not recent. I know Calgary would never sell out McMahon just because it's so big. We just sold out like the limited spots that they gave us. They gave us like all the lower bowl seats on the west side. So I know that we sold that out. But you know what? I do think UBC does sell out of their tickets in the summer, just because the way that their stadiums set up. They only have bleachers on the one side, and then the rest of the seating or the viewing areas is on like a hill around the field. So like I don't know if they charge people for those seats, but I know that they do sell out their little stands there.
Frank, so you could go for free and just go sit on the hill and
you know what?
Don't take my word for it, but I do think that is the case. I do think that's the case.
You know, they should do a little bit more of that, like the U of A Golden Bears. Just do exhibition games. Like, think basketball, that they do their exhibition games and just bring everybody to some random place in the city. You know what? It's just that. Just to increase that awareness, the fact that anybody, and maybe it's also like you say, that parents don't know. People don't know that they can just go and watch some of these games. Maybe they do think that it's only for parents and friends and people that specifically know the players, and that this is not an event that is open to everybody in the public, right?
Yeah.
So awareness, increasing the awareness and just visibility of it.
marketing. It's all about marketing.
Yeah, so the letter is going to go to the Department of Marketing at the
There you
U of
go.
A.
Good.
I'll
Stamp.
sign.
There you go.
Yeah. Sign on it for sure.
I love it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and close the fan forum for today, and we are going to give everybody an Edmonton Sports update.
Groovy.
Today's update is brought to you by Herties. Thank you to the 500 plus fans that visited Lot A, stall number 44 this CFL season. Stay locked to the Elks Herd social media accounts for surprise Herties pop-ups in the off-season. Herties, we smoke the meats. The CFL Conference Finals, or Division Finals, are this weekend. The BC Lions are visiting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, while the Montreal Alouettes are visiting the Toronto Argonauts. The action goes down on Saturday. In the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers will be visiting the Seattle Kraken on Saturday. Puck drop is at 8 p.m. Mountain. In the WHL, the Edmonton Oil Kings are playing a home-and-home series against their rivals, the Calgary Hitmen, this weekend. The Oil Kings visit Calgary on Friday, and the Hitmen visit Edmonton on Saturday. Puck drop is at 7 p.m. at Rogers Place for Saturday's game. In Canada West U Sports action, the University of Alberta Golden Bears football team are going to the Hardy Cup final, facing the UBC T-Birds in Vancouver on Saturday. Kickoff is at 5 p.m. Mountain. Go Bears. We're the Elks herd. You're up to date.
Yeah.
Yay! And then we have some affiliates to shout out to. First off, RoyalRetros.com. They make some sick throwback gear, including CFL and Vintage Double E, the name formerly known as Eskimos. You can actually go get one of those jerseys, the 1980s version, over at RoyalRetros.com. If you use code STAMPEDE, you can get 10% off in celebration of the 2023 USFL Birmingham Stallions, the champions.
Not Calgary.
Not Calgary. Giddy up. And then thingsengraved.ca is the official merchandise supplier for Shotgun Sports and the Elks Herd. So head on over to thingsengraved.ca. There's always something on sale over at thingsengraved.ca. And I believe I saw a really nice the Elks Herd branded cup over there. The beer style on sale.
Oh.
Last, Jamin, are you like a big shower, soap, beard care kind of guy?
Yeah. I take good care of my beard. I would say I like growing it out, but yeah, I like taking good care of it.
Nice.
See, that's good.
Lather.com, LATHR.com. Lather.com actually has some amazing men's soaps. Very fragrant. They smell like man, and I actually buy them. I actually use them. We're on our second order now.
He does. He will soap himself up like 4 times.
I've started enjoying showers, which is it's new and it's interesting. It has nothing to do with my landlord changing the hot water tank. I swear it has everything to do with lather.com. Go check out lather.com. Use Shotgun Sports 15 to go get 15% off. I do believe there's probably a minimum on that because I did try to, just buy 1 bar of soap, and they're like, yeah, you can't just use the 15% off for 1 bar of soap, Like,
No, you should get some more of the beard stuff. Take Jamin's example and take care of
Well,
it.
so here's the thing. On the bar of soap, it says body and beard. It says body and beard, man.
Crazy.
Yeah, so it would work.
It would work.
Me, I followed my my wife. I can't do any 2-in-1s anymore, or like 3-in-1s, or I know I've seen a 9-in-1. Believe it or not, I've seen a 9-in-1. I don't know what 9 things you would need, but there was a 9-in-1 somewhere. I think it was at Winners or something. Yeah, I ever since then I have soap for my body, I have my face wash, my shampoo, my conditioner.
Yeah.
But I will go take a look at lather.com.
You know what? And I feel shamed, so I'm gonna go check out beard oil after. I'm gonna go get a different beard particular shampoo after this conversation. Because Jamin has a beautiful beard. It's a way nicer beard than mine. So
hey, they're all nice. We didn't shave them though. There's a reason why we didn't shave them, because they're too nice.
Yes.
Exactly. And could be nicer with a little bit of lather, but also could be nicer with some specific beards, which I think lather also does have beard products.
Yeah, I know,
They do. They do.
I think that's going to be your Christmas present, to be honest.
I just got to get off. I got to get off the 9-in-1 program. That's it.
I'm going to go look that up. That's insane.
Yeah, I think it was like toothpaste or something, man. It was something weird. I couldn't believe my eyes.
It will clean your shower too. It's glass cleaner at the same time.
Pinky toe soap. It's pinky toe soap.
Craziness.
Okay. So for our final segment, ladies and gentlemen, this is The More You Didn't Know with Jamin Pelley. So this is where we interview our special guest of the night. If you have any questions for Jamin, throw them in the herd chat, and we will ask them live on the show. Our viewers over at Edmonton Sports Talk, unfortunately, cannot chime in. That's why you got to go check us out on YouTube over at Shotgun Sports Network. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, all of that stuff. That being said, we have a part 1 and a part 2 to this interview here, Jamin. We will definitely have some fun with this one. So let's do it. So part 1, this is going to be a little bit about the Edmonton Elks before we proceed into some more personal stuff. The Edmonton Elks, they finished the season with the same result as last year, a 4-14 record. While the season didn't go as planned, there were still some fantastic moments in this season, including history, the end of the streak. So can you please tell us about your experience in that game?
Yeah, so I unfortunately, that game I was out. That was my last game that I was out, so I was on the sidelines for that one. But like the feeling that I had on the sideline was the same whether I was playing or not. It was just like a sigh of relief. I'm not even gonna be over the top and say I was so happy. I was jumping up and down. It was a sigh of relief that we can stop talking about this streak that we had going. And I wasn't around at the beginning of it, but I know a lot of my teammates were, and I applaud them for keeping their nose down. And we got the dub at home, but it was just a big I could finally catch my breath. I don't have to go onto Twitter and see another game that we lost and this and that. And it was such a good feeling. But then I will say the rematch that we played Calgary in, that was my first time playing in a home win, which that was way different than just being on the sidelines. Just because I know that I put in the effort to get a win on the field, and with that, yeah, it was such a great feeling. It almost felt like we won the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like it was just yeah, and then that was our second home game in a row that we won. So there's a little bit of a joke going around that we can start a new streak about the winning streak at home. So it was a good feeling to finally put an end to the streak and get a win at Commonwealth. It was beyond surreal, and to play in it was even better.
I could imagine. You know what? And you never think about that, right? You think about it as a fan, and you just go in and you have a blast, and it was a big party and so much celebration, but you don't really take the time to think about what the players must feel and that relief as you talk, right? So
Yeah.
that's great, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of those here coming up. So, but with that, what would you say was your favorite moment of the 2023 Elk season?
My favorite moment of the year. Geez, I honestly, I know this might come as like a little bit of a why'd you pick that one, but it had to be the first game of the season. It was packed, man. I was very happy with the turnout, and the game was close. It was a tough one, and it sucked that we lost, but just seeing that many people back at what used to be such a great powerhouse program and team, it really felt like we were restoring it with that game. Unfortunately, it didn't end the right way, so that will probably be not on my list of my favorite part of the season. But definitely having the fans and seeing all the people in the stadium, that was my number one probably moment of the year for sure.
No, and that's understandable because it's something that we've kind of talked about on the show already, but that the excitement going into the season. You've hyped everything up. You've brought in, guys like Gino and Dunbar and even the defense. You've gotten a couple more guys there, and you had your core and things were looking better, and Taylor Cornelius was putting in work in the offseason, and you had so much hype and so much and a little bit of expectation, sure, but it felt like with the 33,000, I believe the attendance was 33,000 for that game. it felt like Edmonton showed back up. It wasn't a Stand With You crane game. It wasn't,
No.
a fundraiser game or anything like that. Edmonton,
Game one.
yeah, it's game one. It's game one. The excitement's back there. It's there's everything to lose, everything to gain. Really, and it was a fun game. The fans were definitely into it. Obviously it sucks the game didn't turn out the way that we wanted. We didn't quite get the win, but yeah, and that's great. That would be a great moment, and it totally does make sense. And
Yeah.
as a player too, especially going into another season, right? I guess real quick before we move on to the next question, like what is it like? Like you're turning the page, especially with the Edmonton Elks, you're turning the page and you're going in and you're doing the anthem for the first time. Like there's a tidal wave of emotion, I'm guessing.
Yeah, especially for me, and you're probably going to touch on this later, but like for me, it was very emotional on the sideline for sure. I know I was crying before the game, but yeah, for me it was even more special because that was my first time playing, of course, since the loss of my daughter, and that was very emotional, and it was very that's probably why it's a number one reason as well, just because I for the first time I actually felt like she was on the field with me, and it was like such a cool feeling, and very emotional, I will say. But yeah, standing in front on the sideline while the anthem plays, and you're looking across, and we all, like, both teams stand on the sidelines in the West. We're opposites, not like in the East where they're on the same sideline. But so we're directly looking across, and directly across from us is the other team. So it's like just a great atmosphere, and I love it. Like there's no other way to describe it. It's just like it's electrifying for sure.
Oh, that's amazing, touching, beautiful, amazing.
See, that just makes me excited to go to the first game
Yeah,
next season.
yeah.
Like that's
Already want to
it's
go back, right? Already want to go back.
No,
Can't wait, can't wait. Only a couple months away. So, part two, we know that you hail from Calgary. So that means that you grew up with the Canadian sports upbringing and lifestyle. What was it like growing up in Calgary, and what sports did you play as a kid?
yeah, growing up in Calgary was cool. It's honestly it's a little different than Edmonton, I will say. Like, I don't know, it's just the people there are a lot. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about Calgary, but the people there are just jerks and assholes. I don't know if I can swear, but yeah, it's real bad over there. Like, they're just not. I don't know. It's not a friendly city. It's not a friendly Canadian city. You know what I mean? It's just people are, yeah, they're different over there. So growing up, it was okay. I didn't live in the best side of the city. So growing up, I had my fair share of troubles and stuff like that. But growing up with football, that helped me out a lot, and especially in Calgary, where I will say Calgary has more of a youth football scene than Edmonton by kind of a long shot. But with that being said, it was pretty good, and it was fun. Like, I don't know how to explain it other than it was fun for sure. Playing other sports, yeah. In high school, I think I played about 4 or 5 sports. So I played obviously football, but I did not play. I don't know if a lot of people know this. I did not play high school football when I was in high school because I was playing for the junior team. So I was playing for the Calgary Colts while I was in. Yeah, so I didn't have much high school times for football, but I did play high school basketball, rugby, track and field, and there was another one I did. Oh my goodness. Oh, I think I tried out for swimming. I don't know if I made the team. I think it was in grade 10. But that was more of a joke thing. That wasn't too serious. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. But
Just
yeah,
you did it, right? Like, why not? Like,
Yeah.
hey, maybe I can make
Yeah.
the team.
I think that was the mentality I had going into it. I was like, whatever, I don't care. Like, just give it a shot. Yeah. So it was good. Playing sports for my high school was pretty good. Basketball, we had the best team in the city for sure for like the whole entire time I was there. I think out of the 3 years that I went, and then a year before me and 2 years after me, so 6 total. We won 5 out of 6 Division I senior high school basketball championships. So that was really fun, especially playing with some guys that are actually playing overseas. I have another guy that's he's doing his last year in the NCAA. So yeah, there's like some good skilled athletes at my school, and then that's why I told you, yeah, most of them wanted to play basketball. It was hard to get those guys out in minus 30 weather trying to catch some footballs, but nonetheless, playing sports for my high school was very, very fun.
Nice.
So would you say that there was an adjustment moving here to Edmonton after being in Calgary? And
No, I wouldn't say adjustment at all, because like I said, like I and I'll stand by this. I do think Edmonton is a better city for sure. I think the problems are just different in both cities. But I will say that me and my wife and my girls, we all prefer Edmonton now. I don't even think I've gone back since last year.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll Edmontonian.
Yeah, they're good. Nobody needs to go to Calgary.
Well, no, exactly. Well, no, and I think what's kind of interesting about that too is because there's the whole rivalry, the city rivalry, little town by the bow, even going back to the term Eskimo. There's just a massive city rivalry. So, like for me, I think that Calgary is a beautiful city, but I would never live there. I do think that people are a little bit different, but you've lived there. I haven't seen that side of it. I think Edmonton can be abrasive, but I've also felt like Edmonton has been home ever since I've come here. So,
Well,
I mean,
and you used to live in Fort McMurray.
I used to live in Fort McMurray, so I didn't even live here for, I moved here like 10 years ago, really. I've been here for 10 years, but to hear Jamin, being from Calgary, saying that Edmonton is better, I feel like we've obtained
Feel vindicated.
a secret spy or something, like we've got the inside scoop.
Yeah, no, it's just all about the people. Like, that's all I can say. Like, everyone here is just it's more friendlier, but everyone sticks to their own business, if that makes sense. Like, it's not Calgary where everyone's competing with everyone or everyone wants to be somebody. And that was the big thing for me, because I'm not. You guys were around the same age. We're not old, and social media, for personal gain, is so big in Calgary. Where in Edmonton, I haven't seen that yet. Like, and the people, it's just the people. I feel like the people are just maybe not as friendly. I think the friendliness is the same, but the people are just nicer here, I would say.
Well, and real quick before we move on to the next question, touching on competition, I think that's very interesting as well, because even in my line of work, I'm a refrigeration mechanic. When I'm not talking or tweeting about the Edmonton Elks or anything like that, I'm making the beer cold for a very popular NHL team in town, or or even for old grannies and old people in
not their beer though, just
not their
beer.
No, sometimes their beer in the old folks' homes as well. Shout out,
Yeah,
exactly.
they go crazy.
Yeah, go ham, like drink it up, girl. So whatever, right? But that being said, in Calgary, to try to like our business has a really, really hard time gaining customers in Calgary because it's just such a competitive market in general. And with the mountains right there, and there's a weird shimmer around Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, me and my wife talk about it all the time. Like, it's hard to like pinpoint what exactly is different, but you can tell that they're very, very different. And having lived in both, like I said, Edmonton is just it's more peaceful as well. Like, it's just more peaceful, and the people are nicer. It's hard to say everything, because I don't know, like, it's just two different things. It's very different.
What? And our streets are numbered.
Our streets are
hot take. I do not like that. I hate that. The roads here are confusing, and You have a lot of I was talking about this the other day too. You have a lot of roads that lead to nowhere or come out of nowhere. You have a lot of roads that lead to nowhere or come out of nowhere. Or in the communities, you have a lot of roads that you can't leave the community from. So you have to like turn back to the main community road and then get out of the community. Whereas in Calgary, everything you can, like, if I'm in one area, I can leave that area fast. Like, I don't know. The roads are confusing here, and I don't like how you guys count backwards, for sure. I don't know why 101st Street is downtown. I do not understand why that's downtown.
Well, 50th. So in like small towns, it's usually 50th Street is always like the main drag, right?
Yeah.
So that's a thing, and then for us, like I think we're direct opposite of what Calgary does for the numbering. So
well, and
we have Center Street downtown, and then it goes First Ave, Second Ave, Third Ave out. Which it just makes more sense because you're at the center and you started from here and you're moving up. I don't know. I like the names too. The names are easy. We don't have hard names. We don't have hard names.
Well, I guess this is all I know. That's all I know. Edmonton is all I know. Well, I grew up and was born and raised in Mexico City, but I was young and I wasn't
pay
old
attention
enough.
to the signs.
I wasn't old enough to drive, so I didn't care. But so I moved here, and this is all I know. And for me in Edmonton, it's so easy. Somebody just gives me an address, and I'm able to just picture it exactly where it is based on that address because I know how the streets go and the Avs go. And in Calgary, you're like, oh, I'm in this Ave and this street. You're like, I have no idea where that is.
No, I do get what you're saying. Like grid on paper, gridding it out. Definitely, I can see how it would be easier to have both numbers. But I don't know. It's just the roads that we have. They're all well known. You know what I mean? Like they're all pretty well known. Like I don't know. I find it so much easier having names. I don't know.
Well, you know what? We live in a time that we have GPSs on our phones and our phones in our hands all the time, so it shouldn't be an issue.
I still stand by Edmonton's best. I'll stand by that.
I love it. So question number 3, or I guess question number 3 for part 2. What is your game day rituals? Like, do you have anything specific that you do every game day, or any superstitions? Do you ring a bell? What do you do?
Me, I'm not a very superstitious guy. Routine. I feel like we have so much structured routine during the season that if I have a chance not to have routine, I will take that chance. But it does differ on away games. So like away games is definitely, for me especially, it's more mental. It's tough. And I applaud all the guys that are away from their families coming up here to play.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, since I've been so used to always being with my family and having my family with me, being away for a game, whether it be, usually it's 2 nights, 1 night, and then the flight back home after the game late night. It's just, for me, it's a lot. Like I like kissing my girl's bed every night. So I would say for away games, I do like to go whatever hotel we're at. We usually stay next to some sort of park. Nice. So there'll be like a field or something like. And the biggest, like, the one that I remember the most doing this for is definitely in Regina. They like right beside the Hotel Saskatchewan, across the street, there's this big park. And I'll just probably go sit out there for 2 hours, like for a decently long time. I'll always FaceTime my kids and my girl before we leave for the game. That would probably be my biggest ritual. I'm a big ice cap fan, so I always get ice caps on game day. I don't know why, but I like to get ice caps on game day. So I probably shouldn't have pulled that one. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have pulled that one out, but that's a big thing for me. I'm very much into the ice caps, and a lot of my teammates they'll drink energy drinks or like have a coffee or something. But for me, it's ice cap for sure.
Nice.
All that extra sugar will just pump you up.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's probably why I crash halfway through the game.
Yeah, no, that's what I'll do too. Like I feel like if I'm crashing, I need something to just pick me up because I hate energy drinks. I hate anything that is fruity. So my go-to is an ice cap for
Yeah,
sure. So
good one.
what do you like to do in your spare time? What kind of activities do you like to do in the off season?
Usually if I was back home, I'd probably be playing basketball a lot. It's great cardio, but the thing about basketball, it doesn't feel like it's cardio. Like, it really doesn't feel like it's cardio. So that's a big thing that I used to do back home. But I'm in the area. I'm in the era of video games, so I'm a big video game guy. Like, I'm a huge video game guy. So if I'm not training or eating, I'm definitely playing video games.
Nice. Rocket League, right? Isn't Rocket League?
Rocket League, yeah, I've been liking Rocket League, and my biggest game that I've probably peaked at was Apex Predators. I was
Nice.
the Apex, yeah. And the new Call of Duty's dropping on Friday, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
Are you gonna go line up for it? Or are you gonna be one of those
Oh.
guys at EB Games there?
I already got it pre-ordered.
I love
See,
it.
that's preparedness. That's what I like.
Yeah. Video games are close to my heart.
Video games are life. Hey, I any chance I can get, I try to play video games. One of my good buddies, Alex, shout out 13 a.m. Games. They just came out with an expansion for Dawn of the Monsters, so that's a game he ended up making with his company, and
Oh wow.
we've been so busy lately that
Yeah.
we can't. I can't even get into it.
Yeah, it's not an issue for me. The only games that I like to play are Lego games because those are the only anything else that requires multiple buttons and movement stresses me out and it gives me anxiety and is just a big no. So at least the Lego games, there's enough action to keep me entertained and there's, like two buttons that you just have to press.
Yeah. See, I'm the opposite. My ADHD kicks in when I'm playing video games. I'm like, my hands are moving like crazy. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm the total opposite there. Yeah. I need to tone it down with video games for sure.
Yeah, you know what? The way that I see it, and this is something that I have never been against, and I always support Scout whenever he's like, "Oh, I want to play some video games." It's like there could be a lot worse things for people to be into, right? If you
Yeah.
need a couple of hours, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to yourself to just chill and play your games, by all means, at least you're not out there, in a bar drunk.
Yep.
Every night,
doing
yeah.
something, right? So
Yeah.
there could be way worse things to, be really into.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. Number 5, rapid fire 5. So I'm gonna ask you 5 quick questions here, Jamin, and you give me the answer. Marvel or
Sounds
DC?
good. Marvel.
Nice. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi. Gotta go Pepsi.
Nice. I like it. Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
Nice.
PlayStation.
You probably had a PS5 as soon as they dropped.
No. I was playing on my PS4 for like a year and a half until I got my PS5. I got my PS5 just after the season ended last year. Actually, I was
Nice.
waiting on it. No, I knew that I didn't want to buy that before I had my first season. I just knew that I'd be too distracted and stuff like that. And yeah, no, I've had mine for just over a year now.
Nice. You treated yourself in the off season.
There you go.
Absolutely.
All right. Apple or Samsung?
Apple.
All right, and then Tim Hortons or Starbucks?
I know. Oh, it's rapid fire. I can't because Starbucks has a coffee frap, and it's really good too. So I don't. Oh, but I'm gonna go Tim. I'm gonna go with the cheaper one. I'm gonna go for value and saving the dollar. I'm all for saving your money. So Tim Hortons for sure.
And
Oh,
Canadian factor.
You know what? That was not the question that I thought you were going to struggle with.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta go with Tim Hortons. It is a struggle though. Yeah, I wouldn't expect that one either. I'm a big Starbucks guy too. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big Starbucks guy.
Yeah, you know what? I can't do the Starbucks thing. The only ones that I do have from Starbucks, and that's because Tim Hortons doesn't have them, is chai tea lattes.
Yeah.
Tea lattes are good. Yeah, the chai teas are good there.
I don't understand how Tim Hortons just doesn't have that. That's such a big staple that I feel like they're losing customers specifically because of that drink. So- But just to close it up, what are you looking forward in 2024? What is coming up for you here next year?
Yeah. Just training, getting ready for what the season holds next year. I got some workouts in the off season that I'm getting ready for right here. Yeah, so we're gonna see how that goes. I don't want to speak too much on that because it's not tangible. I can't touch it or see it or feel it, so I'm not going to talk on that one. But I am just getting excited for the season next year. Getting ready, getting my body ready. With the two injuries I guess the one injury and then the surgery that I had this year, gave me a lot of time off the field. I think that the day after we had our exit meetings with Coach Jones, I think I was back in the gym that day. So, it's a short, quick turnaround for me. Right back to the work. So, yeah, not much going on with me. I just work out and I like to stay home with my kids as much as I can. And, that's also why I like Edmonton because it does keep me home a lot. So
Yeah, it's one of those fortunate scenarios, right? Because not a lot of players do have their family immediately around them, and I know that there is a lot of talk about how NFL players get paid more, and there's talents different, and stardom, and blah blah blah. But there's Americans that got to come up to Canada and come play. So one of the biggest benefits being a Canadian, and especially in your home province, the move isn't necessarily that bad going from Calgary to Edmonton as opposed to literally any other big city from Calgary. So
yeah.
yeah, no, that's great that you get to do that, and um, speaking on your family, and you've gone through a little bit of hardship over this last year with your season. You had a really good season. Of course, you had a couple of injuries, and with the appendicitis injury at the end. Hey, we were just happy to see that you caught it before anything bad happened because that stuff can get really nasty really, really quick, and
Yeah.
brutal, right?
Yeah. No, that's what. So the night I went into the hospital was actually pretty wild because this is one thing that bugs me about Canada is that the waiting times in the hospital or whatever. But not going to complain. I was waiting there, and I didn't cry when I tore my calf. I don't cry much, but I was sitting in that uncomfortable hospital chair for 8 hours, and I was probably crying all 8 of them. And then when they did my CT scan or whatever, they said that my appendix appears to be already dead. So it was just waiting to burst at any moment, and they said if that thing burst, we all know the road that goes down to. So it was quite scary just thinking that during those 8 hours, there was a couple of times where I called my wife and I said, I'm just gonna come home now. I was just thinking I could deal with the pain. Like I'm just gonna come home. I'd be more comfortable at home than I would be in this chair. And if they don't think it's too big of a deal, I shouldn't think it's too big of a deal. But it's happy knowing that I stayed because it could have been a lot worse. They said most likely the next day. All I had to do was just move wrong or do something wrong, and it would have been So I was very fortunate enough to catch that just before. So it was a blessing in disguise, and that's what a lot of this year has been for me. This past season, a lot of things that have made me grow as a person. Learning that I can't control everything, and especially I can't control sometimes even my own body. So it's been a learning curve, but it's all things that made me stronger and better as a person for sure.
Well, and I mean, we would say, if anything, now it's a little bit inspirational because when you go through a lot of that hardship, or you go through some of the issues that you've had as a person, and even your family has had over the last year, the resiliency, it's not necessarily about what happens to you, it's about how you react after. And you're allowed every human emotion and human feeling and XYZ, but at some point you do have to ask, what are you going to do with it? So you proceeded forward with your career instead of kind of just succumbing to the negative and the darkness. And and we on a bit of a human level here, we're forgetting about the fact that while some of these negative events are happening, you're still a professional football player with the Edmonton Elks, and even with your first injury, still in the middle of the losing streak. So there was adversity on and off the field, and we couldn't be more stoked to see you rebound. And obviously, things aren't going to be 100%. For it could be injuries, it could be some of the things that happen in our lives or in your life, and things don't come around automatically, and it may not be today and it may not be tomorrow, but
Yeah, absolutely. But it'll come for sure. No, I stand by that for sure, 100%. Because yeah, that's one thing that actually kept me kind of pushing forward, is that like I know that if I just get through this and I deal with it the best I possibly can, I know that there will be something better coming out after. You know what I mean? Like no matter what it is, like I know something good has to come. Like I don't know. It's just kind of what I've been living by now. But yeah, no, with that, it was tough, and yeah, like you said, I'm happy to be back as well. There was a point after when we lost my daughter that I was thinking that maybe I'd take a year off of football or something, just because like it just didn't, I just didn't feel right or whatever. But I'm very glad that my family, especially my two kids, they really pushed me to go back to football and make sure that I didn't stay home. And they kept asking me when I was going to play again. So yeah, it was a blessing in disguise for sure.
that's beautiful. That's really beautiful to hear, Jamin. And the support system, and you have to have a great support system to get through something like that. And I mean, you could have taken the year off. You could have, like we said, right? We could have you could have just went ahead and um, wallowed in the negativity, and instead, your support system was there for you. And the fact that you came back to football, and the fact that you proceeded forward, and you still were out there making great tackles, and every time you were wagging your finger out there, we're loving it, all the way from Section X. So yeah, I mean, we absolutely celebrated you coming back onto the field, and we were absolutely thrilled to see you perform. We wanted to see you play in all the games. We knew the impact that you were going to have. So yeah, really awesome, man. And I mean, for the Edmonton Elks and you guys, and we've said it before, you guys have brought glory back to the city. We've gotten the monkey off the back. We've gotten a home win now. A lot of that pressure is missing. And
Yeah.
you as a professional athlete has already said, sure, the pressure should not be a factor, and you should be able to push out a lot of that stuff. Now, a monumental 22 game home losing streak, I couldn't imagine how that feels, but luckily 2024 don't have to feel that anymore. And that being said, with 2024, as we know, Jamin, you are a very great player. You are great at what you do. Not only are you an awesome guy, but yes, you're great on the turf. So you did mention that there's some workouts. Nobody's going to get into speculation on that. Like you said, it's not tangible. We're going to wish you good luck in those workouts. We want to see you do the absolute best for yourself. At the same time, we really hope that we're going to see you in green and gold next year. But if you get another opportunity, man, that we're going to be cheering for you.
Yeah, appreciate it always, man, for sure. Yeah, I always know you guys. You guys have always been one of the best fans to me for sure.
Hey,
Appreciate you
man.
guys.
Hey, we appreciate you, and I mean, before we get into the final thank yous, and I say thank you 50 times, even how you interact on Twitter, and even through the brunt of it last year, this year, James Wilder stuff he was doing last year, the backpacks, doesn't matter. The community beat, you're out there doing the EE duties up on the up at the garrison there. So, Jamin, you're a fantastic guy for this community. It's awesome to have somebody from Calgary. We've taken one of Calgary's finest. We got him
Taking
here
them
in
away.
Edmonton now. So yeah, man, like thanks for everything that you've done for this fan base over the last year and a half, man. Yeah, you're definitely one of the bright spots for this franchise through the darkest times. So thank you for all you do, Jamin.
Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's you guys that keep us going for sure. Like the support, like for sure, it's you guys. It's the fans, and that's fans don't think that they have the impact that they do. Like we get told all the time not to read the comments, but I promise you, every one of us does, good and or bad. But with that, like it's always nice to see fans making good points out of bad situations, if that makes sense. Like for instance, like your game recaps, like they weren't negative. Like even if it was a negative thing, it wasn't negative towards anybody. You know what I mean? Like it was just a negative of the game, which we can chalk it up to the game. So it's things like that that definitely help us out as well. And like I said, like the support from the fan base and from the community, if anything, all it does is just help us. So no, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the fans of the EE.
Thanks, man. No, we thanks. No, thanks for the feedback on that, because sometimes we get ripped for not being too critical, but at the same time, there's no real benefit. There's already so many other people that are spewing garbage, like let's say with the Edmonton Oilers right now, and the hashtag firings.
Yeah.
Why is this player playing like absolute trash? Well, I mean, I get that we're in the age of digital message boards everywhere, and your opinion can be seen at light speed and everything else, but thinking a little bit before you post, and not necessarily putting down other people over entertainment, over a sport. It's not really worth it, but
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between giving constructive criticism in a way and just being an absolute a-hole
dick,
online.
yeah.
Like there's absolutely no need. You can be realistic, you can be accepting of the reality of what is happening and be open about it and not try to sugarcoat it or look at everything through rose-colored glasses. But at the same time, it doesn't give you the right to just go and attack somebody personally or attack an organization if you don't have all the facts or all the knowledge, right? So that's always the stance that we try to take. We try to be optimistic, yes, but realistic as well. So, I mean, if
Yeah.
there's something that we see that we need to say, we will say it. But at the same time, it's always with that kind of politeness that we
Yeah.
always wish that we bring upon of all of our comments, and a lot of optimism as well, because we know that a lot of things are not under our control. So why are we going to go around bitching about something that we can't control?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's the thing too. And like I'm starting to see more people realize that it's like also as the players, not everything falls on the players. You know what I mean? Like it are super quick to just point to the players and say this is the problem, that's the problem. Not always like that, and it's it's kind of that place where you have to meet in the middle for sure. So
No,
I for sure.
no, and once again, shout out to Taylor Cornelius's dad, right? Because I think I was overly critical in something that I said, or no, somebody had made a comment, or it was either based on one of my articles or something, and I wasn't trying to be overly critical, but what he came up with was, hey, take a look at how much pressure that Taylor is facing. This isn't necessarily like a Taylor Cornelius thing. So I think like even after that comment, I was like, okay, maybe I'll do a little bit better at analyzing the full situation before putting a little bit too much on one person. So Yeah,
Man, I applaud Taylor for sure. I will say that. Like, to me, honestly, like I'll say this from an insider point. Taylor wasn't the problem at all. So I actually do like Taylor a lot as a player and as a person even more. But yeah, the criticism that he received online was like, yeah, it was not good, and it doesn't all fall on him. I guess he is the quarterback. That's what he signed up to do. But at the same time, like, we got to be realistic. He's not. You know what I mean? Like, you can't expect him to do everything for us to win. You know what I mean? Like, it all falls on all 45 of us. So.
well, and the other thing with Taylor Cornelius, like the number one thing, and we spoke at Family Day this year Family Day. You and I had spoken, and then I gathered all of my other information from his off season, and you see his build. And I'm sorry, anybody that goes and puts that amount of work in an off season to come in and be a bad quarterback or whatever people were accusing Taylor Cornelius of, because look at the no pressure trick plays and how he was being utilized, and sure, he was being utilized very well, but he's not a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. It's unfortunately, it's the best way that we can put it without getting into it too much is the first 9 games of the season, and what happened before the bye week of changes, and unfortunately, and the worst part for us watching it was we didn't enjoy seeing Taylor Cornelius have his confidence shattered week in, week out with in a system that just wasn't working at the time, right? So yeah, and I mean, Trey Ford, great quarterback, right? He's also a good quarterback, but in the same sense, he wasn't really gonna thrive in that exact same scenario that Taylor was in. So it just
I don't think anybody would have at all.
nobody would have, right? I mean,
He would have, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah, I do think Taylor Cornelius took quite a bit of unjust beat down there, and I hope that he does stay with the team. I don't know if his salary allows it, and I don't know what that looks like for 2024, but that is not our problem for today. We will figure out another date. That is definitely all the time we have for today. Jamin, we could probably talk for like another hour or two, but maybe we'll do that outside of the Elks call. That being said, man, dude, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was an awesome chat, Jamin.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate the chance to be on here. I told you I wanted to. I was waiting. I was watching. I think it was a few weeks ago when I was commenting in the chat. Yeah, I've been waiting.
No, I love it, man. No, I was waiting for a really good time, and Kathy and I came up with a plan to not have players on during the season, because then we can kind of do a little bit of recap, talk about experiences, talk about more of the positives rather than like
well, and that's just it. I didn't want to be one of those podcasts that just focuses on what is happening at that specific time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm more focused. I'm more interested in learning about you as a person, and sure, tied to the Edmonton Elks, but why are we just focusing on specific periods of time when we can just look at the big picture and talk about things in general and just get to know you a little bit better? So.
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, personal is way more fun.
F&A, man. No, we super appreciate it. I'm probably gonna hit you up here sooner than later, and maybe we'll go.
I thought you were gonna say you were gonna go shower now.
No, with lather.com. 9-in-1. I'm gonna talk to them about a 9-in-1 product because Jamin mentioned it.
No.
Please don't. Okay, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for viewing, for tuning in, for hitting us up on Edmonton Sports Talk. Thank you for being here. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
I am Catherine, aka Do You Even Elks?
And that was Jamin Pelley from the Edmonton Elks. Thank you so much, everybody, once again, and we hope you have a great night. Cheers.